Welcome to the Upshot, Multi-World Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm the editor, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me, as always, Josh Mansfield. It's Tuesday, February 11th. We have a special guest joining us from the jump today, Daniel Prentice, back on the pod. Dan, welcome. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, Charlie. It's draft season, so I'm always doing good in this case.
It is draft season. Fantasy Draft 2025 coming your way. Got a few emails, people saying you got to get the draft done so that we're ready for our draft picks. Well, folks, let me tell you what. Gannon and Kristen, there's what you need to know. Okay, that's the end of the show. Thank you for coming. Okay. Yes, we are doing our draft. We're making some changes. Josh, just really quick, Josh. Luka, Lakers, how you feeling?
Good. They won the trade. It's exciting. It's good. The one concern I have is that the Mark Williams trade got nullified because of the physical. Mm-hmm. And so now the Lakers don't really have a great option at center. That's the only issue. We'll see. I'm excited. My birthday, the Lakers and Mavs are playing. And so I will be watching. That's what I will be doing on my birthday.
That is truly a gift.
Right?
The greatest gift. I put that game in my calendar. That's how serious I am about watching that game.
Yep. I think you and everybody else. So
is it in LA or Dallas?
I'm not sure.
I think it's in Dallas.
I think
it's in Dallas. It's gonna be a classic. All right. Well, Josh, if you want to trade me Gannon for a box of chocolates, then I will gladly do the deal.
Hey, I think I would have to send you like Kayla Viska as well. Plays MP40,
I love how just Anthony Davis is just getting like completely like sidelined at the conversation here. I mean, he did just immediately get hurt for like 6 weeks. Anyway.
He drops 25 in the first half with like 4 blocks and then gets injured and leaves in a no contact injury in the third. And I saw someone tweet, they were like, congratulations to Dallas. It took you 1 game to get the full Anthony Davis experience.
All right. Well, here's the breakdown of the rules this year. Josh is going to tell us how we're changing things up. Last year we did it by Pro Tour standings, and it was kind of boring, so we're doing something different to make it a little bit more interesting. Josh, what are the rules this season?
Yeah, we're committing to a real fantasy this time, folks. We're tracking points throughout finishes, not just checking at the end. So it's getting real. 4-2-1, that's your point structure that you need to know. 4 points if you get a win, 2 points if your player gets on the podium, 1 point if they finish inside the top 10. For those of you doing math at home, we are going to draft the same number of players, 5 per division, which guarantees then that at least 5 of our players will not be scoring points every single week. But there's also a punishment for what we're terming the Anthony Barella experience. -1 point if you finish outside top 32nd. So now you got to balance players who win a lot if they don't finish consistently inside. Top 32nd for MPO, top 20 for FPO. That is the Pro Tour cutoff line. So we decided that's where our punishment line would be. We're having 2 majors, 2x for majors, so that'll double your points at the majors. And I might have said we're doing 5 and 5. That is incorrect. We're doing 6 and 4. We decided to do 6 MPO and 4 FPO this year, just to match a little bit kind of the depth of where your regular contenders are on a week to week. DNFs do count against you. For a -1 as they would for missing the Pro Tour cutoff line. And then we will have a mid-season waiver again. We'll have 2 waivers, any division, no requirements to waive players. The order will go 3-2-1, 3-2-1, third place, second place, first place. So I think that's it, Charlie.
I do have one question here.
Yeah,
sure.
Go ahead.
For the major double points, are we counting throw pink? Do FPO players get an extra double points event?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Because throw pink is a major, Daniel.
I agree.
It's a fair question. You got to check.
Interesting that the PDGA just announced, this is a little bit of news we can hit off the top. The PDGA just announced the 2026 and 2027 major slates.
Ooh.
The big news, 2026 Worlds will be in Michigan, TD'd by Nate Heinold, who of course TD'd last year. 2027 Worlds is going to be in Portland, Oregon, event directed by Jeff Spring. think they have co-TDs, a local and then a Pro Tour guy. And so, Michigan was not really on the radar, but certainly not a surprise to see Nate Heinold get another opportunity to run a Worlds. Things went pretty well last year. And then we did know that Oregon was probably coming. So
stoked.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
That's gonna be incredible.
Of course, D-Glow won't be on tour next year, and Portland Open won't be on tour in 2027 because they're being taken over by the majors. But note, Worlds is probably going to be pretty early in 2027.
Yeah.
Because that tournament is normally like early June?
June? Mm-hmm.
So.
Interesting.
A little interesting. Do you like the decisions, Dan?
I have no real strong feelings. Both of those, are good courses and good areas. I do feel like early Worlds feels weird though. I wish that didn't have to be the case.
I like that there's sometimes a build up to a big tournament a little earlier in the season, because it does feel like Champions Cup, while incredibly important to the structure of the season, we don't then often get another thing until like the middle of July. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of season before we actually start hitting the biggest tournaments. So I disagree with you, but I understand it.
I get like an even split is good. I just feel like Worlds in particular feels like it shouldn't come at that point, if that makes sense.
Sure. Josh, you see U.S. Women's next year, Salt Lake?
I didn't see that, but that's exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll go to that. That's for sure.
That's going to be the course at Brighton. I think Majestic it's called.
Yeah.
You played that?
I have played Brighton. Yep.
How is it?
It's cool. It's a cool course. It's one of those that's up on a ski resort.
I love it.
Yeah, it's going to be some incredible mountain golf.
Mountain golf. We need more.
Yeah. I'm curious. I don't know what cell signal's like up there.
I guess we'll find out. I mean, those Salt Lake resorts typically are so close to the city, and you can often see the city. Like, I feel like it should be okay, but it's not a guarantee.
I didn't get to play those courses last season, so I don't have a good memory of what it was. But
this is all a long way of getting to the fact that they didn't award a bid for U.S. Women's 2027.
Oh.
Is this a throw pink takeover en route? I'm not saying it is.
The door
Maybe
is
they didn't
ajar.
like the bids, but it is at least worth considering the possibility.
All right.
Also notable, no announcements about Champions Cup for the next 2 years.
Probably
the PDGA wants to move it back to the IDGC long term, but I don't think the courses are ready right now, and it's not clear that there's an obvious timeline there. Haven't heard much, so TBD on Champions Cup.
I think it's important we uphold the Champions Cup tradition of waiting till the very last minute to announce where it's going to be,
but then
changing where it's going to be.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. Let's just as much chaos as possible. You don't get to find out where Champions Cup is until a week before the tournament.
It's not the wooded major, it's the chaos major. That is the only thing that has been tried and true now.
All right, so we got to pick the order here, and this is a substantial advantage for the first two pickers.
You do not want to go third. You do not want to go third.
It is.
Okay, hear me out. This might be crazy and maybe something we should have discussed ahead of time. Have you guys ever heard of a what's it called? Like reverse order draft, like a third round reversal, where rather than snaking the whole way through, third pick gets the first pick of the third round.
So you go like A, B, C, C, B, A, and then jump to C?
Yeah. To try to nullify the advantage of getting the top two picks.
I don't hate it. I mean, Ultimate Frisbee seeds like that for its national championships.
Once it does CBA in round 3, does it then go ABC round 4?
Yeah.
Typically, yeah. It
jumps back
snakes
to A.
as normal usually from
Okay.
from the switch.
Oh, it snakes as normal from the switch.
As in, like, you start and then continue that snake until the end.
CBA, ABC, CBA, ABC.
Yeah.
Okay. Good with me.
I think it's okay because I do think that there is such an advantage to being the first two pickers in this draft.
Oh, man, there are.
So we might as well try to balance a little bit with that method. Cool. I'm good with it.
I'm good with it.
All right. Let's kick things off. We have wheelofnames.com. We're going to click to spin. Here we go. And the first pick goes to...
Rigged. It's rigged.
Yeah, baby. Charlie is the winner. So I will take myself out. We will spin again for the second overall pick. And it goes to...
Stop.
Dan.
Oh, no.
Josh gets the third overall pick. I'm pretty sure Josh had the first pick each of the last 2 years.
I have. Yeah, I have. I feel particularly punished this year, though.
Hey, look, you can't. We just made it stronger for you.
You did.
And you're lucky that we talked about it beforehand because there's no way we would have agreed after the fact. All right. So off we go. And it's decision time. Like, is this an obvious pick?
I don't know if first is obvious.
First is not super obvious. So
second is obvious.
Let's just talk some numbers really quick. I'm going to talk through it because you know who I'm going to pick one of the two players.
Yeah.
Kristen had 6 wins, 12 podiums, and 15 top 10s in 15 starts. Gannon had 9 wins, 13 podiums, and 23 top 10s in 24 starts. And so the thing that you're asking yourself is like, is Kristen's legit dominance and like basically scoring you points every time she plays and often scoring you multiple points and getting multiple wins going to outweigh the fact that she plays so many fewer tournaments than Gannon in a typical season? Because the other thing is, like, do you think Gannon is going to have as good a year as he did this year? Because if he regresses even, a modest amount and only wins 4 or 5 tournaments, it still may end up being the case that Kristen is the more valuable overall player. I think I have to go with the volume here, and I'm going to take Gannon. I just think that the overall likelihood that Gannon at least is scoring me points on a week-to-week basis is pretty high, and even if Kristen doesn't get hurt and has a normal season, she's still going to play 5 or 6 fewer tournaments than Gannon, most likely. So I'm going to just lock in and take Gannon for volume reasons, even though I think Kristen could ultimately be the better overall pick at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think I agree with this. The only thing that maybe has me pause is Kristen getting the extra major. Is that enough to make the swing with the extra double points weekend? But yeah, I mean, Gannon in my mind was the clear number one. I don't think there's even really that much reason to worry about a regression of results.
Yeah.
There's not really anything that would suggest that. Just more that last season was one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen. So even if he just is 5% worse, that could be the difference. The wins make a big difference.
Yeah.
Sure.
But who's coming to take the crown? That's the problem, is that you don't necessarily see an obvious. It's not like Gannon's going to be getting worse. He's now had a year with his new discs. He started to lock in on the putting more. I mean, it's hard to see him not being the best MPO player again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. Well, Josh has already made my pick for me here. He's already written it into our doc.
I mean, listen, Dan, if you wanna prove me wrong, go ahead.
No, I'm gonna do the obvious thing here. I'm locking in Kristen Latt. And yeah, I'm excited about that extra major. I'm hoping maybe that can be a difference maker for me. Hopefully she plays more events this year than last year. But even if she doesn't, honestly, the wins are going to be there. We know that. And yeah, just points every single time she plays. So I just can't do something crazy here.
Yeah. No, that's fair. All right. I'm actually not as upset with my pick. Missy actually, I mean, not including majors, Missy scored like 4 points according to our system. No, Missy, without majors, Missy scored 1 less point than Kristen did, if you consider their wins equally. And we know Missy can perform well at majors, so Missy for me, I'm not upset that she is going to be my first round pick. I think that she's going to score well as well. It's obvious. I obviously prefer Kristen, but I'm not terribly upset that Missy is the choice here. I did some quick math to look at how results went, and I thought my first pick of the second round was going to be a little bit more difficult than it is. It actually was quite obvious once I did that. Ricky is the clear next pick. I thought about going FPO again like I did last year, but it didn't win me the game or the draft, so I figured don't stick to a losing strategy. And I think I need a top MPO to go early as well, especially since we're drafting 6.
I think you should stick to a losing strategy.
Hey, you.
I got to side with Charlie on this one, Josh.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I think the only risk with Rick is that he's, again, like, he played the best we've seen him play in quite some time last year.
Yeah.
And, like, does he get surpassed by an AB or an Isaac?
Right.
Or
That's
one of the other
question.
guys up there? Like, again, no real reason to expect that, but he is switching bags after 3 years with the same discs. Is that enough to upset the apple cart a little bit? I don't know.
To
Probably
that
not.
question, I did do the math between Rick and AB last year, and Rick would have finished with 66 fantasy points, and AB would have finished with 37. And so
Wow.
I
Because
understand
AB took a bunch of minuses, right?
that's not even counting minuses.
Oh, wow.
Oof.
That is just in raw numbers, no minuses.
That's how
included.
good Rick was.
That's how good
Really
Rick
good.
was. And you're right, but that means he could regress 25% in point value, and AB could play 25% better. And
Yeah.
it still is not
Basically,
obvious.
when AB played well, he won. He
Yes.
had 5 podiums and 4 wins.
Yeah.
So, like,
Right.
most of the time when he was on it for the weekend, he won the tournament.
Oh yeah, my math is even
And
wrong
Rick,
then, 'cause
on
I
the other
double counted
hand,
those.
finished behind Gannon a lot, but
Yeah.
had 13 podiums to AB's 5, and like that it makes a huge difference. You're totally right. I don't think it's the wrong pick by any means. I just think that it's
a safe
know,
pick. It's
yeah.
not. Yeah, it is. It absolutely is.
I'm shocked, though, to see number one Ricky hater Josh go with him as his number one MPO pick in this
Listen,
draft.
I'm not going to complain about consistency on my fantasy team. I don't know if I want consistency. I don't know if I want consistency over majors in my career, but I want consistency. I want consistency on my fantasy team.
That's fair. I had to take a shot. You
I know it's
understand.
fair. It felt a
you
little
deserve
goofy.
it, Josh.
I definitely thought about not picking Rick just to stick to my guns, but I
would've been-
couldn't self-sabotage.
I think it would have been a
that way.
terrible mistake. I
I
would have
think so,
simulated
too.
to get Ricky with my next pick. All right, this is interesting. Josh just criticized his strategy last year, where he really went heavy on FPO early. But I am wondering if it actually is a better strategy this year with fewer FPO players taken.
That's true. Only 12 taken.
So that has me thinking. I also feel like I might be in a different spot on MPO players than Charlie here. So I think I maybe can get my top MPO in the next round. Although Josh goes before me too.
I do
It's
go
Charlie,
before you.
Charlie then Josh.
That's tough.
So that makes it a little trickier. I might still be good here though. So I'm gonna try the Josh strategy.
Okay.
I'm gonna lock up someone who I'm very high on this year. I think she was close to it last year, and as a player who has gotten better every year, and it just feels like she's ready to be the main rival of Kristen. And so if I can lock up the players that I think are the top 2 wins getters in FPO,
Ellie Midling.
I'm gonna take Holland.
Yeah.
As my pick here.
I was really hoping I would get Holland here,
Yeah.
but alas. It's the clear pick, I think.
Over anyone in MPO.
I think so.
Okay.
I think
I
so.
feel better then. I was worried I was maybe.
I
I mean,
doing
Holland
something
had
drastic
20
there.
top 10s last year and 10 podiums.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Your next podium getter last season in MPO was Calvin with 7, who hasn't already been taken. So I just think like the odds that Holland is worse this season are very low. I think that's more likely she improves, and I think she could be in the Player of the Year race, like very legitimately. So I think it makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I get 1 pick, and then I don't pick again for another 3 picks. That's kind of annoying now that we're doing this. I feel like I maybe need to take another. I need to take an FPO player because I don't have one yet. Man,
You can.
I don't want to doubt the dog, but I'm doubting the dog a little bit right now. Like at some point, Owen is not just going to be the next best FPO player.
Not until she's 58, though. It's written.
I'm gonna take what I think is the better pick. I'm gonna get back on the horse.
Yes.
I got off the horse last year. It was to my own peril. And I'm riding with Evelina Salonen in 2025.
Evelina's not going to get a single win now that Charlie's back on the horse.
Yeah, no shot.
Listen, Evelina was tied with Own for average finish last year. Has clearly more win upside. Multiple majors last season, best season of her career, and like that's with still like continued issues on the putting green. Like it's definitely a risk to take Evelina, but like she showed significant strides last season on the mental side of the game, and if she makes another step forward this year, she could be the best player on the tour. She could outscore Kristen. It's very possible. So I'm gonna take the upside pick here, and it does mean that I doubt the dog, but maybe I'll still get the dog. All right, that's it.
I think that's correct. You got to go upside there, I think.
Yeah.
It will be really funny, though, when she has a terrible year because you're back on the bandwagon.
All right. I was excited about this fix that we proposed now that I was third. But this is like the scariest draft pick I've ever done of any draft of my life because I'm about to go another 4 picks after before I get to pick again. Oh my gosh. Like I want to take an FPO player because we're only getting 4 to your point. But there's a handful of players who I think are going to be consistent and not as consistent as each other, but consistent. And I just am nervous. I just think that the upside is probably more important, the possible upside. Listen, this man had the second most wins last season. I think he's going to keep going up. Give me Anthony Barella.
All right.
This is risky.
It's a risky one.
It's a risky
It's
pick.
the riskiest pick of the draft so far.
Yeah.
What's your confidence level? It seems shaky, Josh.
It's just a little shaky because, to Charlie's point, it's the question of like, he had 5 podiums, but 4 of them were his wins, right? And so after he has outside, because we're not double counting points, right? So that means he has 6 top 10s, 1 podium, 4 wins for purposes of math, right? And for scoring. That's great. That's really good. And again, but the problem is that if he wasn't winning, then he wasn't doing well. So even if he regresses a little bit, in win category, I just need those to be replaced with podiums and not negative points. And I'm just not 100% confident that will be the case, right? If he replaces 2 of those wins with -2 points, this pick is way too early and it's going to look real bad.
AB is so interesting to me because he obviously took a big leap last year. Mm-hmm. But I will say, I feel like, I think it was a surprise. I don't think many people were predicting that he was going to be so successful last year. But we did see that he had that high-end ability for years.
Yes.
But the thing that always held him back was the volatility, right? And despite his improvement last year, we didn't see him really improve the volatility all that much.
No.
Which I think is the big question. That's like the next big hump for him.
Question.
Can he do that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I am still a little skeptical. The upside is obviously there. But yeah, it definitely feels like a pick that even if you get some wins, is he doing so much damage that it doesn't feel like you're getting him in terms of fantasy points.
It also could be the pick that wins the whole thing.
Like he could match Gann and win for win this season.
Just like AB.
It could happen.
Yeah.
It's a very fitting pick.
Yeah. But I don't think I get a chance at him again at the end of round 4.
Yeah, that's fair.
No way.
No way. And so it's a question of like, do I feel like any of the other picks are worth like the knowledge that I won't get AB? And I just don't think it is.
Yeah. I will say you're also, I think, well equipped to take on that risk with two of the safest players you could possibly have to start your team. So
I considered Calvin, but then I forego any chance of winning a MPO major, and I just didn't want to do that. So
oh, that's good. That's good. Well, you've set me up perfectly for my pick, Josh.
Okay, I'm happy to help.
Who I was considering taking in the second round. So I was right in thinking that he would fall to me. And I have to say, I'm ecstatic. Calvin is about as safe as it gets.
Yeah.
So to get him in the third round feels really good. And despite what Josh says, the upside to win is clearly there.
2 wins is nice. 2 wins is nice. You just don't get major points is all. And that's
I think he outscored AB last year in fantasy points.
I'll have to look.
I didn't check.
I'll do some quick math.
I didn't check major double points, and I didn't check minuses. But
neither of them won a major.
Well, right.
He had four more top tens, 4 more top tens, and 2 more podiums.
But 2 less wins.
And probably fewer
wins.
Bomb outs.
Probably.
Yeah. Average finish for Calvin was 12th, for AB 19th. So
AB had a 44th, 61st, a 36th, a 50th, a 43rd, a 47th, a 67th. So that's 7 minus points.
That's so many negative points.
Josh didn't look at that. He forgot to check that.
Well,
that takes out almost 2 wins.
That's a lot.
I knew there would be negative points. I didn't think there'd be 7. I was like, oh, there's probably 4, like 4.
Who could have possibly known by going to pdga.com? Calvin had a 44th and 2 34ths. So he had 3 minuses.
Minus 3.
Listen, I was on the clock, Charlie. The timer was ticking. I was worried I was going to miss my draft pick. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
on our untimed draft.
Listen, I
don't think anything changes about what we've said, though. Like,
no, I don't think so either.
Yeah, Calvin is a clear pick there. I think that makes a lot of sense. Okay, I get 2 in a row. This is where I would say this is where the real draft starts.
Yeah,
like we now have to start projecting a little bit more last year versus this coming season. And this is where I feel like it's a little trickier. So the 3 highest top 10 getters in MPO have been taken, and then AB. So your next top 10 finishers, highest from last year, Nicholas Antila, Isaac Robinson, Macbeth, Ezra, Kyle Klein. Of those, Nicholas had the best season last year with 2 wins and 6 podiums. FPO, next highest available, Owen Scoggins, and then Silva, Henna, Ella Hansen, Cap Merch. It's kind of like a middle group there. Ah, jeez. I think I want to go balance and take an MPO and an FPO. But who?
That is the question.
For my draft board, this is like basically the start of a new tier in both
Yes.
categories, which is just a really hard spot to be, I think.
It's a hard spot. It's a hard spot. Let me do this. There's some sneaky potential picks around these parts.
It is very obvious that Dan has like probably 4 or 5 Excel spreadsheets printed out based on the way the first few picks went, and Charlie is freewheeling right now.
Yeah, I am Doctor Strange. I've seen every possible outcome.
It's really more a matter of feel for like how the coming season is going to go.
Sure.
Because I don't think there's an obvious pick just like staring you in the face at this point.
I agree. How psychic are you, Charlie?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the sneaky pick because he might get picked. I'll tell you after the draft if he doesn't get picked.
At all?
All right.
We're in the third round, Charlie. You're talking about a guy who doesn't get picked?
Okay, first off, I'm just going to take Own. I'm going to take Own.
Okay. You got to trust the dog.
I was going to take an FPO player, and I think she's clearly the right one to take.
Okay.
Even if she doesn't get a win at all, I think she's going to be like on the podium in the top 10 week after week after week.
Yep.
Very unlikely to have bomb out performances.
Yeah.
Just like, and plays a lot of tournaments. There is obviously some injury risk. I don't think it's crazy to think about taking like Silva or Ella or Henna, but just looking at last year's results, you have to take a player with the volume that she has. I mean, she's gonna be one of the highest scoring players in FPO.
Absolutely.
So I'll just go ahead and lock that up, because if I don't, then it's going to be an easy snipe for somebody else. On the MPO side, I'm like, the question you have to ask yourself is, who's having the best season next year of the young gunners? I really think that's the question. And I think it's tough because you have the most promising players are probably the Robinson brothers, and they're both making a bag switch, which at least puts some potential downside pressure on the early season. And then you have Kyle Klein, who like underperformed a little bit last year, but still had the best average finish of all of those players.
Sneaky year last year.
Yeah. And then you have Nicholas Antila, who I think had the higher upside, but also had more bad finishes.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna go Kyle Klein.
Wow. I love this pick.
I just think like I'm betting on he's got the same bag.
Mm-hmm.
I think his life is a little less crazy this coming season. I won't elaborate. I think he's clearly shown us the potential. Like, people forgot about Kyle because of Gannon, and that's fair. But Kyle has won the big tournaments.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he still had 10 top 10s last year. He was, among touring players, his average finish was 5th at 13.6. I was ahead of Isaac, ahead of Ezra, ahead of Nicholas. So I'm gonna look at that, and I'm gonna say, okay, let's go. I would love to see him have that like little pop to the peak again some more, but I just feel like this could end up being the steal of the draft. Or it could go horribly wrong.
See, I don't think it's going to go horribly wrong, though. It could be the steal of the draft, or it's going to be just like a solid foundation.
He did not play very well at the end of last season. That's really the concern.
Sure.
He didn't have a top 10 finish until the Pro Tour Championship from Worlds onwards. He was in the 20s. So I don't know.
I think the problem with this pick is that I don't think it can be the steal of the draft, because I think you're basically picking at his like realistic ceiling.
Do you think he's at his ceiling? That's where we disagree. Because I don't. I think we've seen much higher highs from him, and I think we can see him get back to that level.
But I feel like even at the level we've seen, I think that's like where you're taking him, right? Like who that's been picked in MPO so far has a lower ceiling than Kyle?
Well, none.
Yeah.
But like, do you really feel like Isaac's ceiling is way higher than Kyle's, for instance?
No.
Right.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So I don't think it can be a steal necessarily. I think you're basically taking him. Like,
I understand what you're saying. Like, it's priced in. I get that. My point is that, like, if I hadn't picked him here, he might have gone another 2 rounds without getting picked.
Yeah.
And I think he could end up having the best season of that next group.
I do agree with that.
Sure.
I do agree with that. But my resignation is that you could have waited 2 rounds potentially.
Maybe
to get
maybe.
him. And at that point, he is definitely a steal.
You know what? Let's see how the next 2 rounds play out.
Okay. I do like Kyle a lot, though. I have no problem with the pick at this spot.
Okay. Well, you're up, Dan.
Okay. This is tough. Again, I feel like we've just kind of started into new tiers here. That Charlie has just kind of cracked open, but I have a lot of players in these tiers. But I think I'm going to do to Josh what I did to Charlie, which is take away the last FPO player that I feel really good about. My personal friend as well, so I would really be remiss to not have her. Have we discussed, Charlie, on this podcast that you and I basically are responsible for Ella Hansen's disc golf career?
I have mentioned it.
Okay. It's my
you have
great
not
claim
come
to
up
fame.
in that conversation though, so
That's
you should take some
up.
credit here yourself.
I definitely take a lot of credit, and I tell everyone that I ever meet about it. I gave her a disc.
Yeah.
So
you remember what disc?
It basically no, I have no memory whatsoever. I mean, this
have
was
to make up something to.
Yeah. I do. I need to come up with a detail to make the story better. But yeah, I'm taking Ella. Another just like really high upside player that may be a little volatile, but I think for the most part is finishing top 10s, at a very high clip. So like pretty high floor with also a very high ceiling.
It's funny because Dan, you said you're taking the last FPO player you feel good about, and I had 2 FPO, 2 MPO players written down, and I wasn't worried either way which direction you went because I felt equally good about my FPO pick, which is going to be Silva Saarinen. I think she's the next pick, and she has only improved season over season. She was a couple bad mistakes away from getting a win over Kristen at GMC. And then she has, just as many wins as Ella. She has, she have European wins then, I guess.
That's really the reason to pick Silva.
Yeah.
Is if she plays a heavy Europe schedule again, she could mop up.
No reason why she won't either.
True.
And so,
but I think more players are going to be over for the European tournaments.
Definitely true.
Yeah.
But I think Silva's level's increasing. I mean, Ella's average finish was 8.48. Silva's was 9.27. Like, she is not far behind in terms of average place. I really think that there is still a decent amount of possibility there with Silva. She didn't play as much as Ella, and that's the volume isn't quite the same, and that's the risk I think I take here. But I'm equally fine taking either Silva or Ella. I knew one or the two was going to fall to me, and I'm good with that.
I do wonder too, like with two European majors, is there like a home field advantage there where we really see, Europeans
Maybe
excel a little bit more this year, especially with the double major points,
Right. Yeah. Well, and I don't remember how it was for the FPO track, but Estonian Disc Golf Festival was not a terribly long track either, and that I don't think that hurts. That might help Silva over Ella even. I really wanted you to take FPO though because I didn't want to make a decision here. I really didn't want to make this decision. Gosh. Because there's no shot that I get both of them. There's no way they both work. The other one works back to me. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Give me Ezra Robinson.
Ooh, I like that.
I also like it. I definitely considered him for my Kyle slot.
I mean, there's Charlie. You said the names, right? It's Ezra, Nicholas, Isaac, and that's the pick. And it's tough. And I was really hoping that Dan would pick one of the two that Ezra or one of the others that I was worried about. But yeah, I think that I just am high on Ezra still, and I think the upside is there. He could have several wins this season, and he has only gotten better. So yeah, Ezra's my pick. It's probably not the most obvious of the three, but that's who I want.
No, I like that pick a lot. It definitely is like I don't know. It feels like a classic kind of like fantasy take your guy spot,
right.
know?
Yeah. I now
is
have Ezra
fun.
and AB though. There's a little bit of big question marks there. I'm swinging for the fence.
I just feel really good about Ezra. I
do too.
I don't know. I don't know if it's because I listen to you guys too much. It just feels like everything is there, for yeah. I mean, consistent, and then for him to get a couple wins this year, it just feels.
Experts
like
are high on Ezra this year. They say, but we're the experts who are also doing the draft.
Yeah, I like it, Josh. I like it.
Thank you.
Get your guy there.
I'm getting him. Yep.
I think I have to go with Nicholas here.
Yeah.
I know Isaac is going to win Worlds again, and I'm sacrificing some points there, but I don't know. I'm gonna go back to my logic that I said with Josh's Silva pick. I feel good about Europeans this year. And Nicholas has already proven that he can get those wins. Would love for him to be a little bit more consistent this year. Maybe that can be his next step in his development.
I worry about the arm speed a little bit with him. That's like my big hesitation. It's like it's just courses where he really can't win.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's between him and Isaac for me,
that's fair.
That feels similar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a logical pick. It's a logical pick. I mean, if he just keeps getting a little bit better, he's gonna be one of the top 5 MPO players. Straight up. Okay. This is gonna be the final pick of the 5th round. I have this pick and then the following pick. All right. It's kind of a strategy decision here, because when I'm looking around these parts, starting to think about whether it's worth just kind of like wrapping up the FPO universe here. I already have 2 FPO players picked, and so I might just want to go
just
snip,
knock
snap,
it out
and be done. I'm going to start off by taking Henna Blomroos.
It's a very Charlie pick.
I'm back on the Henna and Evelina train. My God.
You lean into your brand, Charlie. I think it's only right.
Henna, the risk of Henna is really availability.
Mm-hmm.
We get frustrated with Henna because we see the potential.
Yeah.
You see how amazing she is as a thrower and how much she's struggling on the green. And it's like maddening. But Henna still averaged a under 7th average place finish on tour. That's behind only Missy, Holland, Evelina, Owen, and Kristen.
Mm-hmm.
And she only played 15 tournaments last year and didn't have a win. So the lack of wins is painful, but still had 11 top 10s, 4 podiums. I mean, she had more podiums than Ella Hansen. And like, there's still the glass half full from a fantasy perspective, particularly, is that the putting truly cannot get any worse. It cannot get worse. It is so bad that there's no way that it regresses any further. And all you need to see is a marginal improvement. It's just like Evelina. Evelina marginally improved her putting and then won 2 majors and had the best season of her career. Henna maybe is even more strongly in that world where like a 10% improvement in C1X putting from like 50 to 60. If she just erases the like 4 putts and the brutal stuff from inside 10 feet, that's enough to like make her one of the best FPO picks from a fantasy perspective, even if she doesn't get any wins. because she's just so good off the tee that like it erases the pain on the green. So is it possible that she just sort of is about the same next year? Yes, but that's still pretty good.
Yeah.
And the upside is obviously huge, given that, again, a marginal improvement, not a huge improvement, would substantially improve her chances of winning tournaments. So I'm going to lock in the Finns. And with that, we reached the halfway point of the draft, and we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, you will find out. Am I going to take another FPO player and finish my FPO draft? Or do I need to pick off maybe a world champion, a back-to-back world champion? We'll see. Stay with us. It's the Upshot. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. They've outdone themselves. A brand new redesigned Octothorpe is now here. The custom Octothorpe builder is back live on the website, and they've got brand new colorways of Octothorpes going live tomorrow, February 12th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. 2 standard pack colorways and 2 ambassador colorways for Nate Sexton and Aaron Gossage. Now I want to show you the final results of the Octothorpe rebuild, and you can see just how much thought and detail has gone into the bag. Take a look. Here's Levi Wisingham, Pound founder, talking about the changes to the Octothorpe for 2025.
Cell phone pocket fits up to a iPhone 16 Pro Max, so you can fit a larger cell phone in that pocket. One of the cool things that happened by making the footprint of the bag wider for stability is that it also increased the width of the hall pocket to be able to hold a Superclass disc.
Welcome back to the Upshot. We are at the halfway point of our draft. We're taking 6 MPO and 4 FPO players. I have selected 3 FPO, so I have a big decision to make, because if I don't take MPO here, I actually don't necessarily know that I'm going to get that punished for it, because you guys need to take the FPO players or you're going to get left in the cold. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think strategically there's just not that much value still sitting there in FPO, and I want to finish that up. And then there's like more depth available in MPO to take in the later rounds. So, what to do? What to do? I think I'm going to go volume, and I'm going to take Cat Merch. Plays a lot of tournaments.
Yep.
We've seen the skill. Can win. Maybe not going to be like a super high upside pick. There are some other players who could maybe be a little bit more of a pop-off candidate, but Kat had 13 top 10s last year, so I will gladly take that.
She also very much does feel like the kind of player that like just has a weekend in her where she goes out of plays out of her mind and goes and
absolutely
wins. So yeah, it's a very, very solid FPO Charlie for sure.
She matched Missy for the most starts on tour last year as well with 22.
She was top of my list. That's
same.
That's a great pick.
Best FPO available.
Too bad for you guys. Yeah. So my FPO picks are done. I have Evelina, Owen, Henna, and Kat.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now you just got to nail your MPO picks.
Oh, I will.
Okay. All right. Well, this is very easy for me. Because Kat would have been tempting there if Charlie left her on the board for me to finish out my FPO. But I mentioned him as the person that I was kind of flipping a coin between with my last selection. So I'm going to go ahead and take Isaac Robinson here.
I think it's an easy pick here.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that you were going to take an FPO player, Dan.
Josh only has 2 FPO players.
Then I was just going to ignore them.
Starting to get
later.
Starting to get a little sketchy over there.
Yeah, this makes my life hard. The issue is I just don't know like, I just don't think that I care that, like, I have 3 FPO players written down, and I just don't think I care which one I get, which 2 I get. And so I don't really care which one you take. And so given that's the case, I think I'm just going to spam MPO.
Damn
take
it.
another.
I really hope that was not how this was going to go down.
There doesn't seem to be any downside right now to me just going after MPO players.
Spam MPO.
All right, here we go then. First up on the MPO side, this is tough. I think the question is, like, what does this season look like? I'm going to go upside and maybe a little bit risk downside, but consistent from last year. Give me Joey Buckets for my first pick.
Whoa.
That's wild.
That's a deep pull.
Listen, the guy's it's not that much though. I mean, he's got to win. He had a couple podiums. It's not that far off in top 10s compared to other players like that are left. In fact, I think of players that are left, gone. The only one who's got more top 10s than Joey Buckets is Chris Dickerson. And Joey Buckets has a win with same number of podiums. So if you're going on that metric, like
you've locked it in, so I can say this.
I have one more pick.
A lot of finishes outside of the top 32.
And you're right. But I think he's getting better.
Fair.
I think he's getting better. And so, the next pick though, yeah, I wanted Joey Buckets. I'm excited about Joey Buckets.
That's the craziest pick of the draft so far, I think.
I agree.
That's crazier than me taking Kyle Klein.
I definitely agree with that.
The next one. This is the one that I am taking. Oh man, I might be taking so many negative points this year, guys. I'm taking Paul Macbeth as my next.
I was kind of hoping Paul was going to get around to me.
He wasn't going to.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he had several outside as well.
But like, Paul's a great candidate for a huge bounce back, like
he is
Macbethian
absolutely.
type year. I mean, I don't think we're going to ever see him reclaim the highs of his past, but he could be a top 3 player this season.
Yeah, he could.
Would not shock me.
He could.
I was really hoping he was going to come around, but it hasn't worked out for me. So
yeah, I was taking him if Josh shouldn't take him there. I almost kind of had him in the tier of like the Ezra Isaac.
Absolutely.
Niklas,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, from a statistics standpoint, like it's easier for the narrative to not include him in that group.
Yeah.
But from a statistics standpoint, he was great last season.
Yeah.
He had 5 podiums. There are only 7 players with 5+ podiums last year. And like he had clearly a down year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The question just becomes like, was it a down year because he is in the nadir of his career?
Right.
Like, is he in the sunset? Or was it just, a year that he can bounce back from?
And he just had a baby.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there's certainly a reason that you can point to, right?
To me, it makes a lot of sense that he was like a little bit less available for practicing and just more distracted. But like the babies get a little bit easier as they get a little bit older. Mm-hmm. So, all right, Dan, you're on the clock.
Okay. Yeah, I was really hoping Paul was going to fall to me. I think he was the obvious pick there. So I feel less good about this, but I'm gonna take a guy who I have taken in the past, and he feels a little frustrating to me because I want there to be more upside. Like it feels like there should be more potential for wins, and I think we're at a point where maybe there just isn't. But he's about as safe as it gets here, and I think that still adds a lot of value. I'm going to be avoiding negative points pretty much at all times, and going to get some solid amount of top 10s, maybe a podium here or there. I'm going to go ahead and take Chris Dickerson.
Oh yeah, this was my sneaky pick. I'm surprised he went this high.
Yeah, like I don't know. I'm trying to weigh. It's hard for me to weigh at this point because it doesn't feel like there are safe picks left, right? It's hard to weigh like do I roll the dice of the guys who maybe could win but also are going to finish below the points cutoff a handful of times, or do I just get the guy who feels good? He's gonna be a neutral to 1 or 2 points pretty often.
To your point, Dan, Chris Dickerson did not take a single negative point last season.
Yeah,
he was really consistently good, but not great.
Yeah,
he's the kind of player that if we had done top 20 points, I think maybe even goes a couple rounds higher than this. That like really increases his value. But yeah, my hope is if he just gets a couple more top 10s and continue. And I'm really not even worried about him like a drop off. I feel like he's proven at this point that that's just not that's kind of who he is. So yeah, and just a guy that I'm kind of a sucker for because I just feel like there should be more in there, even though he's probably proven there isn't. So yeah, I got a soft spot for Chris Dickerson.
This is the point in the draft where like how much somebody's playing makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And like how you feel like their aging curve is going to go makes a big difference.
That's why I stayed away from the player that I think you're thinking about.
I'm going to take Evan Smith.
Oh, nice.
Dang, I thought I'd be able to get him later.
Get out of here.
Come
he
on,
was 1040 rated.
You listen to the pod. Like it's Evelina and Evan.
Dude, and he was
Evan
like,
Alina is Charlie's. That is Charlie's
some
spot.
Instagram clip. He was like, "I'm going to beat Paul Macbeth at every tournament I play him at this year."
Wow.
It was, to be fair, they asked him what his spiciest take was. It's a spicy take.
Well,
like,
I was hoping to
people
get
are
him.
Sleeping on how good he is.
Yeah, no, he was very good.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I was hoping to get him, we sponsor him. Beat Street Discs sponsor.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
He's a local guy for us. Yeah, he's
Let's
from Raleigh.
go.
So yeah.
I mean, one of the downsides for him last year is that he played fewer tournaments. He only played 16, but I think new sponsor, he's going to play more. He's got a lot of motivation. He's got a lot of reasons to play better. And he's just already shown that, like, as he told us on the pod, like, once I played well at D-Glow, I knew I could win anywhere. I feel like the confidence factor is there, and he basically feels like his mental game is the best on tour. I love all that. I love everything that I'm hearing, and I just feel like it's a value spot. He could be someone who has the pop-off year.
That's true.
What a eclectic MPO team I have so far. Gannon, Kyle, Evan Smith. All right. Next spot here. I mean, all the obvious players have been taken. It's really like, who do you think is going to have a good season? Type situation. Do I want to buy low?
Don't do it.
Yes. Eagle McMahon.
Dang it. Were you taking Eagle, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
I just think like he was a decent fantasy option last year, playing very few tournaments, and like we saw towards the end of the year that he was really starting to pick it up, and like obviously Eagle back playing at even close to his potential equals regular top 10 finishes. So I'm happy to have him.
Yeah, this feels bad, man. Charlie took the two guys that I had at the top there with both those picks. So yeah, well done, Charlie. The Eagle upside is just so high.
So high.
It's so high.
He could have a multi-win season.
He could.
Yeah.
He could like
He could be the number 2 guy.
Yeah, you said it about Paul. Like it's in his range of outcomes. He's top 3 player.
Yeah.
Of the season. Now, I mean, a lot of things have to go right for him that we haven't seen go right for him in years. But
it's true.
It is possible.
And he was very volatile last year, had a lot of negative finishes. But he also had a stretch there towards the end of the season where he went 3rd at Worlds, 8th at D-Glow, 7th at GMC. And it's like, okay, like he might be getting towards being back.
Yeah. What an interesting career. We need like a full
We need like a
breakdown.
doc.
We need a documentary. For
Yeah.
sure we do. For sure we do.
The Eagle
what
doc.
an interesting career, yeah. And
Like,
just an interesting character
It's
as well.
it's out there as an option.
Yeah.
He's still really young is the thing.
How old, like, what is he, like 27?
I have to go to the article. I'll
I'm
tell you right
curious.
now. I think he might be younger than that. He's 26 as of 2024.
So 27.
So he'll
this
turn
year.
27 this year.
Wow, I nailed
Athletic prime,
it. Yeah.
fully like back from the injury. New discs locked in now. Like there's a lot of reasons to think, like, as long as he doesn't get hurt again, which of
Yeah,
course is always it's a higher risk with Eagle for sure. It's just like the upside potential. I mean, we could look back and be like, how did we not take him earlier?
Well, I think no matter what happens, there's an obvious reason why he didn't get taken earlier.
Of course.
To our credit. But yeah, despite him being on your team, I'm rooting for Eagle. He feels like a guy who makes the sport more interesting when he's really good, for multiple reasons. So yeah,
There's few players more fun to watch when they're playing their best.
yeah,
Yep.
I mean, the dude's canning putts from everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
So yeah, I'm rooting for it. I hope all of your other players, other than Evan, do horrible. But Evan and Eagle could have great years, and I'll be happy.
Well, I appreciate your support of my team.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
You're back on the board. We
Yes.
are in round 8 right now.
I don't like what's on my board at this point. It doesn't feel good. I think I'm at a point where I want to take FPO, but I don't know how to do it. So I feel like I need Josh to make that FPO picture more clear for me. I think I'm going to go ahead and kind of like if you take Paul Macbeth last year and Eagle and you meld them together, what player do you get?
I have no clue.
I don't know.
You get Simon Lizotte.
Okay, that
Oh, okay. All right.
So I'm taking Simon. I've been on the record of being like a Simon doubter at this point for years now. So I don't love myself making this pick here. It's hard for me to convince myself, but it's hard to argue that there's a player left that has a higher upside than him. In terms of being able to go out and win. He also had a new baby last year, if I'm not mistaken, in saying,
did.
right? So that's the Paul
Second kid.
component of the
Yeah.
So, again, you have a reason to point to for the slightly down year, and a reason that will hopefully not be as detrimental.
But he still, I mean, Music City Open, he played
Yeah.
out of his mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he feels like a guy that it seems very reasonable that he'll get me a win or two. Obviously, the downside is
some
bad finishes, but I
The
don't know. That there are
scary thing
players
about
left
Simon,
out
I
there.
think, is that he's 32.
Yeah, he's not a spring chicken anymore.
And does he play a little less?
Yeah,
Honestly,
know.
him playing less rather than finishing bad might not be a bad thing.
true.
Go get
true.
2 wins and not play anymore.
I would take it.
That's not a terrible pick. Not a terrible pick at that point.
Yeah,
He was going to get drafted, so
yeah. And I just like it. Like, we're at a spot where are there great picks? Everyone has downside at this
Yeah.
point, I think, right? So
sure.
Okay.
Josh, back to back.
Yeah, back to back. The points difference between the two guys I'm looking at was only 4 points. Only a 4-point difference between them. And so I think I'm going to take the player who had less points last season, but I think has a higher upside opportunity for this season. Because it's not enough points either way to matter if I'm wrong. Oh, where do I like that pick? No, I don't like that pick. Okay. I'm taking Gavin Rathbun. And I'll tell you who the alternate was afterwards because you guys still have MPO to go. But Gavin Rathbun I think is he's the higher upside. Well, I guess it's probably pretty. It was that or Matty-O. Matty-O is like, I was looking at safe, and yeah, like Matty-O had a couple less negatives, but I just think the upside of Gavin Rathbun could make up for that risk that I'm taking there. On the FPO side, oh boy.
So you have just the 2 FPO picks left.
I have 2 FPO picks left. Yep. I did the opposite strategy this season. I just ignored FPO. I am going to take Annika Sten.
Interesting.
She only had 1 negative point. She had a win, and her average finish was above 10th. Again, more Europe. Like she played just as much as everyone else. She played 17 events. I mean, you have your 20, but then it's like the next bracket is like high teens, and she's right there with them. And so with the win, the podiums, she's actually pretty wildly consistent. And I think that my team needs a little bit of that right now. So I'm going to take Annika as my pick.
I like it. Especially, the year of Europe.
Yep.
All right, Dan.
Oh, for some reason I thought he had another pick. That really.
No.
Oh, you
I'll pick
took
again
Gavin.
if you
You took
want.
Gavin. That's right.
If you really want me to clarify this FPO picture for you, just let me. I'll pick another FPO.
No, that's okay. Gosh, I don't know what to do here. We're really at the point where it's like we're throwing darts. I feel now. Which player can you scrape up that hits? And unlike Charlie, I'm not psychic. I know I'm not. So this is tough. Like people. I'm gonna talk out loud here. Matty O is on the board.
Yep.
Just a consistent option. Adam Hammis, not a consistent option, but a guy that feels like he could grab you a win. But is that as valuable with the format this year? I don't know. And then another guy that is just I have in my mind is Jakob Semerad.
Mm-hmm.
Does he play enough? And with so much Europe happening this year. Oh gosh, I feel like What do I do? Okay, what do I need in my MPO? Do I need safety or do I need to roll the dice? I don't know. I just
Take a chance, Dan.
I'm gonna take a chance. I'm gonna go with Jakob because it's fun.
Wow.
Wow.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe he wins a major in Europe. It's not impossible.
He's good.
He is good.
He's on the come up. There's no question.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna get this man swan song. Maybe his last season on tour.
Ooh.
Had the best season of his career last year. Has looked fantastic outside of wedding planning season.
Yep.
James Proctor, baby.
Yep.
Come on.
Yeah, he was another one I was considering.
I'm happy to get him at this spot.
Yeah.
Because you look at his season last year, and he kind of had a mediocre to bad start to the year, and then he still ended up finishing with 5 top 10s, 3 podiums, and a pair of wins. Now, am I likely to get that pair of wins again? No, I can admit that I'm probably not. But that does not negate the fact that he was really fantastic down the stretch. He had second, third, and first in June. He had some clunkers in there, but then, 10th at D-Glow. He wins MVP. He was 7th at the Pro Tour Championship. You're not getting a perfect player at this point in the draft, but
Right.
this is his last season potentially as a touring pro before he goes back to living a more normal life and playing regionally. I think he's going to travel a little bit more as a result. I think he obviously went to Europe a bunch. He played plenty of tournaments last year, and I just expect if you go back to 2023, he was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So if I get second half Proctor and 2023 Proctor, and even take 5% off that and no wins, I'm still going to be happy at this spot in the draft. So I'm glad to get him. And do I just need to take Matty O? He is the pick on paper from a overall performance standpoint.
Yeah.
The question is really whether one of these younger guys is going to step up and like surpass him. But I don't see it. Like, candidates here would be like Joel Freeman having a bounce back year after, as he goes open bag after kind of a terrible 2024. Do you want a guy like, an Ezra Robin or an Ezra Aderhold or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
The problem with Ezra Aderhold is that, like, when he played great, he looked awesome, but then he just had so many bad finishes. It's like feels too risky to take him, but he's also going to play a zillion tournaments. I'm not sure whether that's good or bad. I think it's too scary to pick him.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a bunch of guys, right? Like Casey White, Luke Taylor, Aaron Gossage, Cole Redolin. Like, I don't know. But I think at the end of the day, I'm going to take Matty O because I'm going to take the bird in the hand here.
Yeah.
I honestly, at this point in the draft, not negative points is a fine reason to pick a player.
Yeah.
Like other players might actually just be a drag on your team as opposed to.
And I don't expect Matty O to be like causing me a lot of problems in that department. He did have some outside the top finishes, but he also had lots of top tens. So
Ezra Aderhold had 13 negative points last season.
I mean, I do think he is someone who could really step up, but I'm not going to try to find out if this is the year. It's just too risky.
Yeah. You're not letting him find out on your
Matty
dime,
O is going to be, if he's break even, I'll probably be okay with it.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned him, so he was one of the guys that I was torn about. The risk of him is like, it's like the own question, right? It's like, does he finally hit the age
go
wall?
off the cliff? I mean, I think just like a slow decline is more likely than a cliff. It's not like he's like some big power guy. That's
fair. That's totally fair. Okay, so I'm up here.
You each have an FPO pick left.
I have to go FPO. Yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna be
mad if y'all don't pick the player I think you should pick.
Just tell me who it is.
I'm not going to do that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I think I might know.
The players. There's a lot. Like, I feel like there's a lot of players that could be valuable. Like, I feel like we're really feeling the crunch to just 4 FPO players here. I don't care. I feel like Josh. I'm not going to give anything away to Josh here. So
I have 2 names. I'll take whichever one you don't take.
Players. I have more than that. Okay. Natalie Ryan is a player. Haley King, both like could win, but also very volatile. Heidi Line sneaky had 12 top 10s and 18 starts last year. Rebecca Cox had a really nice. What was she like most improved last year? Didn't she win some sort of award last year?
Yeah.
She was great down the stretch.
Yeah. Valerie Mondahano, who a year removed from the injury, feels like a player who we've seen that upside for her. And then Paige Pierce.
Oh, absolutely.
What do we see from Paige this year? All of these players feel like, the upside is obvious. It kind of just comes down to, like, to me, which of these players avoids the bomb weekend the most often. And that's really difficult to predict for this group, in my opinion. I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice with the person that I think has the highest upside, because I think it's just impossible to predict who avoids the basement the most. So I'm just going to go high upside and hope that they more often get the points to cancel out their bad weekends. I'm going to take Haley King.
Wow. The availability question mark is way too big for me to think about taking Haley.
You wouldn't even consider taking her.
I mean, I would consider taking her, but she only played 15 tournaments last year.
Yeah.
She was not one of my 2, I'll tell you that.
I've seen her when she's good, and
no
she's
question.
So good.
She's so good.
Also,
in a way, maybe it's a contract year for her if you think about it that way, because like sponsorship department a little bit, gets dropped by Innova, like what's happening for next season. Maybe she's going to want to play into a big contract again.
Yeah, it's also possible we're just at a point where like not playing as often is maybe beneficial.
That's fair.
Yeah, I believe Haley is my Henna and Evelina, and so hopefully she has an Evelina year.
Nobody throws the disc more pretty on tour.
Oh man,
that is
absolute
true.
silk.
Yep.
Okay, Josh, who you taking?
Dan, you were supposed to make my life easier. You didn't.
Sorry, Josh.
Paige broke her leg in 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, like back end.
So last year was her comeback year.
That's right.
What was Paige's 2023 like before? 2 wins. It's easy. Just do it. I'm taking Paige.
I think that's the right choice.
Heidi Lina scored 6 more points than Paige did last year. Heidi Lina did not miss any point or did not take any negatives. Hold on, I got to double check that because I think I might have been looking at top 32nd now.
Listen, besides a clunky finish at D-Glow, the second half of Paige's season was very good.
It was very good. And
she was in the top 10 6 times in her final 8 tournaments.
Yeah, and she could have 3 wins again. And
I agree with the there from Dan.
She had 2 in 2023 before she broke her leg.
That was 2 years ago.
I know, but
I hear you.
The game done changed.
She also won last year.
Yeah, I'm not saying she can't get a win. I would be really surprised if she got 3.
Yeah, I wanted the safety.
Like, I frankly think Paige is a better pick than Annika Sten.
That's fine. That's fair. I wanted just safety. I wanted flat. It was good. Yeah, I see your point. I'm happy to have both of them. I would not have been upset with Annika Sten and Heidi Lina though. Like, as a pair of just rock solid, consistent, never get negative points, scored 10 positive points last year. Like, that would have been a fine, just kind of anchor on my FPO team. But I think there's the upside to Paige and probably enough to counteract any potential downside. So,
all right, well, let's take a look at the picks overall. We'll put them up on the screen here on YouTube. We'll start with my picks. First overall, Gannon Burr was taken. My MPO picks: Gannon, Kyle, Klein, Evan Smith, Eagle McMahon, James Proctor, Matty O. FPO, I have Evelina, Own, Henna, and Cap Merch. Dan took Kristen, Holland, Ella, and Haley for his 4 FPO players. It's a really nice FPO lineup. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, it is.
And then Calvin Heimberg, Nicholas Antela, Isaac Robinson, Chris Dickerson, Simon Lazat, and Jakub Semerad on the MPO side. Josh has Ricky, AB, Ezra Robinson, Joey Buckets, Paul Macbeth, and Gavin Rathbun, along with Missy Silva, Annika Sten, and Paige Pierce. So, what do you guys think? Who's got the edge? They feel very balanced to me.
I think
they do feel pretty balanced. I loved my team through 6 rounds, and I feel like I didn't nail my landing in the last 4 when I was kind of trying to find some hidden value. I loved Charlie's close to the draft.
Yeah.
And him having Gannon is that is, I think, the big question for this draft is how OP is Gannon this year, I think, is what this whole thing is going to come down to. Especially with the way Charlie, like, his last 4 picks are MPO. He went early FPO.
And I have to say, I feel like I made the right choice, because I got Evan Smith, Eagle McMahon, James Proctor, Matty O as my last 4 picks.
You closed.
It's not like I like those guys were all top finishers last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, Eagle not so much, but
sure.
Right.
For
but again,
injury
for
reasons.
everything we've talked about.
Yeah, I think I like Charlie's team the best if I'm having to pick between the 3. Yeah, I think the Gannon start and then the way he finished MPO. I think the question for Charlie is, like, does he get enough FPO points?
Exactly
he's
what I was
got
going to say.
Pretty high.
Evelina Henna is like a high volatility decision for me to go back to the well. But, like, if they have a good season, you guys are destroyed. Like, it's not going to be close.
Yep. Say goodnight for sure.
So we will have our waiver wire. When should we do our waivers? I think we should do it.
You ready?
What? Go
Let's
ahead.
make it spicy. In between in between European majors. After European Open, before the European Championship.
After European Disc Golf Festival and before Worlds.
Is that the order they're in?
Yes.
Yeah. Then that order.
So European Disc Golf Festival is July 27th to 30th, I think. Is that what that says? I think that's like a typo. 17th to 20th. I see. 17th to 20th. So that does kind of
late.
It's kind of late. On the other hand, it's after 2/3 of the majors for FPO. There's U.S. Women's before that.
Yep.
So it's like not too early. I think there's an argument for doing it after Des Moines, which is like that's late June, and still leaves PCS and Crocal plus the 2 European majors plus USDGC. And we're not overweighting playoffs events, DGPT playoff events. So
no,
that's not like the back of the season isn't as heavily weighted as it is for the Pro Tour standings. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So it'd be like basically the 2/3 spot if we wait until after European Disc Golf. I think it's a little too late.
I think it's a little too late.
I think we should do Des Moines.
Okay.
That way,
After
like
Des Moines?
it doesn't overvalue the third place person who, at that point, like somebody may have already like sewn up a really good year, and then it's just like a free square.
So, question. Okay, yeah, this is an important question.
I was thinking the opposite. You don't retroactively get the points, right? You just get the points from when you pick them up.
Are we Are we saying that you keep the points from the season, and then you get different points? I think that's how it should be done. Where you keep the points. No, that you keep the points that you've earned, and then you don't retroactively apply points.
Yeah, 100%.
It's an interesting point.
Yeah.
In our system, it maybe makes more sense.
Yeah,
I think it does. I think
like you don't get to nullify
earned.
the fact that you've had this player on your roster.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. I like it. So you drop the player you have, but you keep the points they've earned.
Yep.
Yeah, just like true
and
fantasy.
then from that point forward, you get the points for the player that you pick up.
Right.
Correct.
That's logical to me.
Interesting. That is interesting because that means
to me, it makes it feel even more important to do this a little earlier in case, like, let's say somebody's injured and they're just like zeroing you every week.
Yeah.
Fair.
Like, you want to be able to get rid of them before the 2/3 mark of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So after Des Moines, when basically everybody at that point is going to Europe, it's like a natural point in the season to make a change.
Yeah.
Sounds good to
so
me.
help me if one of my FPO players come out and announce that they're pregnant this week. I'm going to lose my mind.
That happened to you last year, didn't it, Katrina?
It did, yeah. So, like 2 days, Katrina Allen's like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, gosh, dang it.
All right. Well, those are the picks. This should be fun. We will update the point standings at various points. I will talk to the fine gentleman who runs the Upshot Picks website, which you can always find at discgolf.ultiworld.com/upshot-picks, and see if we can keep the fantasy draft moving. The site is currently down, but we'll get it up before the season starts. It's got a 500 error, but thanks to Martin for all the work he's done developing that site. So we'll have it up and running for the 2025 season. You'll be able to make your picks if you're a subscriber and keep it rolling. So you go up against me and Josh. We are going to make some picks changes this year just to spice things up a little bit. So stay tuned. We got a couple weeks yet. Dan, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, guys. I love drafting things, and this is always a fun. It's like a good way for me to get ready for the season as well.
I think it helps us think through it.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, this is super fun. Thanks for having me as always.
Of course. We will have Jeff Spring on the podcast on Thursday, And so looking forward to talking to Jeff about, what's going on with the Pro Tour, what's happening this off season. I think we'll have some media news to discuss by then. So stay tuned. Make sure you're checking out the disc golf fandom survey results. A couple interesting ones coming out over the last couple weeks with favorite courses. Can you guys, if you haven't looked, can you name what was the favorite course of fans from 2024?
Ooh,
touring course.
Singular.
It was a blowout.
It's got to be Maple Hill, right?
Oh, I was going to say Europe counts for this, right?
Yes.
So yeah, the Beast would be my guess.
Okay. Maple Hill is the correct answer, but significantly so. 65% of pickers had it in their top 3. Northwood Black, number 2.
Really?
Yeah.
How about
yeah,
that?
it is. Yeah.
And then the top European course was actually Krokel.
Krokel's
Oh, okay.
amazing to watch.
Yeah.
That's
Krokel
fair.
is amazing to watch.
So
yeah.
check out the full article. Also, there's a commentator and media fan results. So you can see who was the most popular, the least popular. All right. So once again, I ask you, who was the most popular commentator?
Dan, you're going to have to. I already read this article.
Okay. Is it Charlie? He's my favorite.
Oh my gosh! Stop. Absolutely
true.
not. Well, I'm glad you feel that way, but no, I was not
my
even
guess
close.
is it's going to be like an analyst rather than a play-by-play. Is that right? Can I get a hint?
Yes, it's an analyst.
Yeah.
I think the answer is you should just go with the obvious gut here.
Is it Philo?
No. Think Jomez.
Oh, Nate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nate Sexton with the
I
8.9 average rating with 10 being the highest.
Huh.
He was by far the most popular.
Where are
Both
you on
live
there,
and
Charlie?
post pro, right?
But Earhart, Jeremy Colling, Ulibarri, and Ken Climo all north of 8. I was at 7.1.
Okay. Are you the highest play-by-play?
No. Terry was a 7.6. And if you want to call Nate Perkins play-by-play, which he does sometimes, he was 7.6.
I think Nate's more on ground.
Yeah.
Is probably what he's being evaluated for. I think it's just Dan. I'm with you. I love Charlie on the play-by-play. I think it's a consequence of how much Charlie calls MPO.
Not often.
Yeah.
But I'll do a
Not
little more
enough.
this year.
You didn't call enough to get a fair
I'm only
shake
doing
at it.
5 tournaments this year, 4 or 5 tournaments, so I'm not going to be on the mic a ton, but I will be doing both divisions. I think all of those events.
Nice.
So should be
Yeah,
cool.
you and Earhart are the best.
We will be working together most of the time this year.
Love
Nice.
that.
So I think my first event is Waco with Brian.
Sweet.
Okay.
Yep. All right. The season is almost here. Get your fantasy picks in. If you want, you can go play over on Skip Ace. And, friend of the pod, JBD, runs all that. And so we're super excited. We'll keep you posted on how our teams are doing. We'll do our waiver show, and then we'll do our wrap-up show at the end of the season. So, Dan, we'll see you back for the draft check-ins.
Sounds good.
All righty. That's going to do it for today's episode of The Upshot. Once again, if you want some Ricky takes, we did a little subscriber bonus pod inside the circle last week, so go check it out. Ricky to Discraft on a multi-year deal. So another shakeup. Man, Discraft about to be everywhere this season. They have been active. So should be a fun year. For Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying so long, and we will talk to you on Thursday right here on The Upshot.